Sorry guys, something I forgot to mention in the video is that I'm actually going away to Thailand for 2 weeks tonight. So I literally get on a plane within 3 hours and I haven't even packed yet. So the final video for the next 2 weeks is going to be my review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 79. There will be no more videos for 2 weeks. Now you can follow me on Instagram and you can follow me on my Twitter to see all like these pictures that I'm going to be putting on my Instagram story and all that crazy stuff. So yeah, that's what's going to happen. Going away for 2 weeks. We'll come back and we will continue blasting through these Ultimate Spider-Man reviews. So yeah, back to the video. I hope you enjoy it and I will see you guys in 2 weeks. What is going on guys? Welcome back to these videos. My name is Cameron Hall. We are making some awesome progress on these Ultimate Spider-Man comics and just getting videos up in general. So hopefully this can keep going. But yeah, this is the review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 79. So as I've already said guys, welcome back to these videos. It's great to be back. Just the sun is outside, videos are being made, no more university. Can't get used to it, it's just awesome. But yeah, so this is the review for Ultimate Spider-Man issue 79. Now in the previous issue we saw Spider-Man, well actually we didn't see Spider-Man, we saw Mary Jane dealing with the breakup with Peter Parker and actually having a new love interest, kind of. And he was actually a really genuine guy and we actually started to like Mary Jane again. Compared to how she's been acting in the previous issues, she's actually a really genuinely awesome character now. And what we're going to get thrown into in this issue is actually Peter Parker's perspective on issue 78. So we're going to see it from Peter Parker's point of view a little bit. And then we're going to get introduced to the villains of the Kingpin, Elektra and Hammerhead. So it seems like we're bringing back that crime sort of thing back into the Ultimate Spider-Man comics because Kingpin's been away from it for a little while, so it's going to be good to have him back, especially because he was actually a really awesome character in those early issues of the Ultimate Spider-Man series, especially with the development of Ultimate Spider-Man himself. So yeah, we might as well get into it. I'm dying to get into it and I'm sure you guys are. So without further ado, let's jump in to this review. So getting into the issue, it actually reintroduces us to the crime side of things when it comes to New York City and the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. If you remember the Kingpin in the earlier issues of Ultimate Spider-Man, you'd know that there was kind of that criminal, kind of crime boss sort of vibe going on in the issues, and that is exactly what this issue aims to bring back. As you can see on screen, we've got a former accomplice of Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin, who we haven't seen in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics for quite some time now. And due to this, there is a lot of enemies and bad guys and villains who are willing to take up the place of the Kingpin and become the new crime lord of New York City. And that is indeed where the brand new character of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics comes into it, known as Silvermane. Now obviously Silvermane isn't a brand new character, but this is the first time he's appeared in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics and he looks awesome. He looks like one of those really old guys who's been waiting to get into the #1 crime spot for years and years, and now it's finally available, and to do this he's even willing to go into untrusted waters with a very special character who is really well known to the Spider-Man universe. And what I love about this situation that is unfolding in front of us in the comic pages on screen right now is that you can kind of tell what's actually going to happen when Silvermane steps from behind his desk and steps forward to this mysterious character. And it's just so awesome that a comic book can use certain angles in the panels to convey and foreshadow what is about to happen. And obviously, if you've seen enough movies and TV series, he's obviously going to get killed. And that is indeed exactly what happens. And in a way, I kind of felt like Silvermane being sat behind that desk protected him until he stepped out into the forefront with Hammerhead, and that is where he made that massive mistake, and I love how the comic puts that across. Anyway, getting further into the issue, we're actually pretty much jumping back into these situations that took place in the previous issue, with Mary Jane sat in class, but this time it's from Peter Parker's perspective. And I love this conflict that's going on in Peter Parker's head, sort of going through the reasons as to why he broke up with Mary Jane and sort of blaming her, but also understanding where she's coming from, but also not blaming her. And you can see it's just a huge conflict within Peter Parker's head on whether he should do certain things and whether he should not do certain things. It's just awesome, and you can tell being a teenager is so dramatic. I mean, Jesus. But I also very much liked how Peter Parker in this comic set up the idea of Mary Jane possibly getting with someone else straight away to make Peter Parker jealous or something. with us reading the previous issue, we indeed know that she actually didn't get with someone else or anything along those lines. She pushed Mark Raxton away and actually wanted to win Peter Parker's trust and love back, and so I think Mary Jane deserves a lot of credit in retrospect in terms of this whole situation. Anyway, moving on again through the issue and throughout these pages, we're once again brought back to the Kingpin, and as we know, he's pretty much laying down low not to attract any unwanted attention, and the moment he hears that Silvermane has been killed, it really seems like Kingpin knows what's actually going on and he is willing to stop at nothing to once again remind people why they should be scared of him in the first place. I've also got to say that I actually really miss the Kingpin. You can actually tell with his presence within the comic that he's not a character to be trifled with. He comes across as someone who knows how to get things done in a super criminal crime lord type of way, and it is awesomely scary. As you can see on screen right now as well, we have the return of Montana, Ox and Fancy Dan. These three characters keep popping up in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics ever since the very first few issues of Peter Parker first becoming Spider-Man, and they are simply awesome. It's almost like a little bit of an Ultimate Spider-Man inside joke where these three characters keep popping up, and I don't know whether you've noticed, but they are running alongside Hammerhead on this one. And just like in the Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions game, in the very first Spider-Man Noir mission against Hammerhead, we also had Fancy Dan, Ox and Montana in that game as well. Or I think it was Ox and Montana and they were talking about Fancy Dan, if I remember correctly. Either way, those three characters are awesome and are almost like a little bit of an Ultimate Spider-Man inside joke. It's really cool. But it also looks to be, from the reactions of these enemies right here, that Hammerhead never used to have the head of a hammer. You can very much tell that they were incredibly surprised when they shot him clean in the forehead and he just got back up. So unlike any of the other comics from the 616 universe, etc., it very much does look like Hammerhead maybe used to be friends with these enemies or something along those lines, and then he's come back with superhuman powers. So it looks like this comic is setting up Hammerhead to become the next big boss of New York City, and of course that means that Spider-Man is going to have to eventually deal with Hammerhead and maybe even Kingpin. But as you can see, Spider-Man on screen right now has just seen what looks to be Black Cat's figure standing on top of a building, and that's really interesting considering we haven't seen her for quite a few issues now. And I honestly have to say the artwork on Spider-Man's costume is just awesome. I don't know if it's me, but it kind of looks like the artwork has changed a little bit, and of course that's just the evolution of Mark Bagley's artwork on these comics. Still looks as awesome as ever though. But out of nowhere, Spider-Man gets hit by a projectile, and standing over him is the one and only Moon Knight. Now, of course, this is the very first time we've seen Moon Knight in the Ultimate Spider-Man series, and he looks so badass. And it's probably not very good that he thinks that Spider-Man caused all these explosions, so that's going to be interesting to see how he gets out of this one. But in the coming issues, we're going to be seeing quite a few characters in terms of Daredevil, Moon Knight, Doctor Strange maybe. It's going to be awesome. So that is the end of Ultimate Spider-Man issue 79. The issue was just so good. Peter Parker getting back into his Spider-Man costume. I don't know if it's just me, but I kind of feel like I haven't seen Ultimate Spider-Man in his Spider-Man costume for a while, but that might be just because I haven't made a video in 3 months and I haven't read any comics either. So maybe it's just really refreshing for me. I can't remember. But either way, this issue was nice just because the last issue focused on the character of Mary Jane. There wasn't too much Peter Parker in it. There was no Spider-Man at all in it. So to have Spider-Man actually jump back into this issue and actually go into getting ambushed by Moon Knight at the end there was a huge surprise, especially because this is the first appearance of Moon Knight in an Ultimate Spider-Man comic book. Now, one of my favourite points of this comic was when Peter Parker actually was sat in class and we saw that perspective from last issue from his point of view, and he was sat there thinking about how he just wants Mary Jane to be happy and he just wants to tell her, but he has like this awkward thing where he can't tell her, and it's just because he's Spider-Man. And I think this is one, it really highlights one of the major things that comes with being Spider-Man, and that's the point where he doesn't know whether it's Spider-Man that's the problem or whether it's himself as being Peter Parker is the problem, and he just can't have anyone close to him because they're always in danger. But that is obviously a risk he's going to have to take when being Spider-Man. It's just something that, it's a package deal basically, it has to happen. So I feel like this comic really does a good job of bringing up the highlights of what high school drama is like. The Ultimate Spider-Man comics have always been really good at implementing Spider-Man's high school life into his daily problems, especially with, you know, him not doing homework and him walking out of class whenever he wants to. If you remember back to high school, if you're still in high school, then you probably relate to this comic even more, but high school relationships and high school homework and drama, it all just seems like the end of the world. But then when you're out of school, none of that matters at all, trust me. So the comic does a really good job of someone like me who's not in school anymore. It really brings back those memories of having like really big high school drama back when I was in school, so it's just really interesting to read. But anyway, moving on, so we also got the reintroduction of Kingpin. We haven't seen him in a long time, but it's very good to have him back, especially because he was one of the major characters in the early issues of the Ultimate Spider-Man comics and really made Spider-Man develop as a character when he was first becoming Spider-Man, so it's awesome to have Kingpin back. And I think even though he's a villain, I have to say that he's one of my favourite characters as a villain in the Ultimate Universe, even though I didn't really think I would put him as my favourite villain, but you know, it's like, it's Ultimate Spider-Man and it's Kingpin, so it's good. Anyway, that is the end of this review, guys. I'm going to give this issue an 8 out of 10. Nothing really too much happened, especially with Hammerhead. We don't really know too much about him to develop his character just yet, so hopefully we get something like that in the future of these Ultimate Spider-Man issues. But we also will get some characters such as Elektra, Daredevil, Moon Knight, Black Cat. Pretty much Spider-Man is going to be introduced to quite a few characters in the future, and I cannot wait. Let me know what you thought in the comment section below, guys. It is so good to be back making these videos. Hit the like button. Let me know what you thought about this comic. If you want more, hit the subscribe button, and I will see you all in the next video. See you later.